back with us on the SportsMax Zone. One game was played today in the English Premier League, and it was a big one. Second place to Liverpool, fresh from winning the FA Cup on the weekend, playing away to Southampton. And they came from behind to win 2-1, recovering from Nathan Redmond goal and goals from Minamino, the Japanese international, and of course their defenders, Joel Matip, the Cameroonian, giving them the 2-1 victory, and of course taking them just 1 point behind City heading into the final day, where there's everything to play for on Sunday's climax to the English Premier League season. Brent Sancho joins us to discuss the title race. Brent, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, George, and of course, good afternoon to Mariah and Lance and all your viewers.
Yep, so Southampton struck early, but nobody, Brent, nobody thought that an upset was on the cards. Or is that true?
I think it may have been a slight feeling within. Certainly when you looked at the Liverpool team with about 9 changes coming into this game, I'm sure if you were sitting in the Southampton changing room, you would have felt that you may be able to turn this Liverpool team over. But that being said, when you looked at the game and the way the game was being played, and of course when they went 1 goal down, you started to think, well, yeah, Liverpool's going to come back here. And I think it's that side of it that really, the expectation from Liverpool. But I must say, George, I was very, very disappointed in the Southampton performance. This is a team that has and have the capabilities of beating some of the bigger teams in the competition. Of all I've seen thus far this season from Southampton, this performance tonight would have cast as arguably one of their worst performances for me personally that I've seen from them this season.
Yeah. Brent, it's easy to say that, Liverpool are the dominant team, well, one of the dominant teams in English and European football. And, Klopp's job is easy because he has good players. But, Brent, you know that that's not even 1/36th of the story. Fact is, this man has a squad. Whomever he puts on the park gets the job done for him. And he seems to have solutions in every position, in every situation in the game. And it is a huge credit. I don't think we're giving him credit enough for this, Brent, that you have a 23, 24-man squad, first team squad. And every man who comes in seems to keep the Liverpool team strong. And I want you to comment on that.
Look, I don't know if your viewers know how difficult it is to keep a squad happy, a squad of people that are not playing, a squad of people that may be disenfranchised with not being able to obviously get the type of minutes they may think that they deserve. To keep everyone hungry, to keep the appetite, the palate there to want to play, that desire, that passion, the commitment from 1 through 26, 28, how many other players have used. Look at the players that played today, how many minutes they would have had throughout the season, and how much they haven't had for that matter. And still to come in and put in a performance like the one that they did today is a remarkable credit to Klopp as a manager, a remarkable credit to the leaders within, of course, the changing room, and a remarkable credit to the players as well, to stay that focus and to show that despite all that is happening in and around them, they are still very, very focused on winning the title.
Yeah, sorry, Mariah. And just to underscore the point before Mariah comes in, Brent, I'm reminded that Takuma Minamino last started a Liverpool game in December 2020. His last start was 2 years ago, and he comes and he scores the equalizer today. That's a measure of how great this manager has, how great the influence is that this manager has on this group.
Because within groups, of course, when a player doesn't play, he sulks, he's not happy, and they start talking. It's very easy for that to come into a changing room. But to see a player come in, and of course, give that sort of all around the park. You've seen that throughout the season. And we talk about Liverpool, we talk about Man City when it comes to that type of scenario. Again, it is I've been in many, many dressing rooms where players that don't play are the angriest, the most unhappiest, and of course the ones that cause the most trouble within the changing room. For that to happen, for what I saw today, it shows me that everyone, despite whether they play 5 minutes or they play 105 minutes, is fully bought in to Klopp's philosophy.
And speaking about Jurgen Klopp, right after the win, he was asked about the Premier League title and, you know, of course, Liverpool's chances. His response summary version is the title is possible, but it's not likely. And he was drawing on, of course, City's chances. What do you make of Klopp's response?
I think it's the right response. There's nothing Liverpool can do about it. I think what Klopp has done throughout the season to have Liverpool in this position that they're in right now is simply incredible. And at the end of the day, they're just in a league with another supreme team in Manchester City. And that scenario, of course, has brought about, for me, probably the best two teams in world football right now that play in the same league. And because of that, you will have those sorts of responses from Klopp. And as I said, it's really not down to him. And it's not much that he can do, because you're talking about a Manchester City who's probably on the same line with them. And I've shown that throughout the season. So, yeah, it's tough for Liverpool, and as a Liverpool fan, because they've given it their all. But, of course, you have a Manchester City in your league.
What I find, you know, really amazing about the manager and the players is whenever they are asked about the quadruple, you know, they brush it off as if, you know, that's not on the back of our minds. The fact that, you know, he rested so many players, he made 9 changes today, just, you know, walk us through the importance of, you know, one, if Liverpool wins the quadruple, and just the importance of resting these key players, because Champions League and the Premier League battle is on.
Yeah, no, look, when I listened to the comments of James Milner after the game, and he spoke to the fact that the players in training, the appetite that they show, the ones that don't play much, and I could just imagine what a training session at Melwood Park is like for Liverpool. It's probably players are flying in at all angles, because everyone has that appetite to want to play. And as you were mentioning, there's an unbelievable focus within that Liverpool team to continue to set standards, because that's what they've done. Every time they take the pitch, they have a standard they would have set throughout the season, and they've been able to maintain that standard no matter what. And that is a true testament to the environment, the ecosystem within the changing room. And again, I can't stress how difficult that is to maintain. And we're not just talking about this season, Mariah. We're talking since Jurgen Klopp has come into Liverpool. That is very, very difficult to do. And he's been able to do it, and he's been able to do it consistently.
Brent, I've heard raging arguments about Klopp and Pep Guardiola, who is the better coach. A question I put squarely to our European correspondent Simon Evans on the show yesterday. And he pretty much said that Klopp's management of his players and the self-belief he gives them and the buy-in he gets from his players is unquestionably brilliant. But he spoke also of the sophisticated science of Pep Guardiola's management and tactics in a game. He said if he was a player, he would prefer to be coached by Klopp, but he thinks he would learn more from Pep. What are your thoughts on Simon Evans' views? And was that an answer? Because I asked him who was a better coach, and he struggled to give a direct answer.
Listen, I think that's probably one of the best answers I've heard when you talk about Klopp and Pep, and he is spot on. I mean, when you look at the type of football that Pep plays, it's stuff that you dream of as a former player.
Yeah, but doesn't he have the players? He has the players who can do that. Pep.
You have the players that do it, but I think what is remarkable with Pep is the consistency in what they do it in. How many times we've seen, and you just have to look across the English Channel and look at a team called Paris Saint-Germain that has a lot of talented players, but I can tell you they're not playing the way that Manchester City plays. And that's the standard that Pep has, and that's the tactical belief that he has in himself. Of course, we've argued many times in this show that sometimes he outthinks himself, but that's what he brings to the table. He brings something new, inverted wing-backs. That's something we've never had or spoken about in football in all the years we've been covering it. But that's the sort of ingenuity that he has in his mind as a manager. I think what Klopp brings is, as Simon would have rightly said, his man management style. He's been able to keep his players focused to go on to challenge for things. And I think that is why a Manchester City has not won a Champions League just yet, is because the way the man management style of things that Klopp is very, very good at is just still a little bit away from Pep Guardiola. And I think if he can cover up on that side, then the conversation and the argument as to who's a better manager would have a little bit more clarity in it.
You know, Brent, if we had more time, I'd take you up on this issue of inverted wingers. Brent, you seem to have bumped your head. Rinus Michels was playing inverted wingers with the Dutch national team. That's where Johan Cruyff got it from, which he took to Barcelona, which is the school that Pep came from with the Louis van Gaal. But don't let that interfere with the point you made, because the point you made is solid. Yeah, but I'll give you that one. It's age. Let's continue with football. Go again.
The inverted I was talking about is the really deep inverted. I agree with you with the Dutch
system. Okay.
I think the wing backs going that far into the middle of the park is something that we really see at that level of football. But I take your point.
And to strengthen the point that you're making to Lance, I mean, Pep Guardiola has improved way more of the players that he's gotten than players regressing under him. Look, I never thought that Kyle Walker could play club football the way that Pep has made Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker at Spurs was just a fast player on the right who would cross it accurately sometimes. Kyle Walker has evolved into a highly intelligent player. I didn't know that Kyle Walker could play football like he's playing now. And Raheem Sterling has improved 39 times above what he was at Liverpool, and so that's just to strengthen the point. But let's continue, Brett, because Germany's Eintracht Frankfurt will battle Scotland's Rangers in the final of the Europa League in Seville, Spain on Wednesday. Our pre-game show starts at 1:15 p.m. Jamaica time, with the action live on SportsMax 2 and the SportsMax app. My friend, the last time Rangers, Brent, qualified for the Europa League final, the UEFA Cup final, as it was then in 2008. It was played in Manchester. I'm sure you remember this. 200,000 Rangers fans from all over the world found themselves in Manchester. Rangers have been ranked as having the biggest travelling support in all of European football. They say that already 100,000 Rangers fans were already in Seville, and that was when I read that early this morning, so you can expect them to descend on the place again. Huge support. Will the supporters be disappointed, or will this be the year?
I tell you what, I sat all day today, George, with the Rangers fans that stuck here in Trinidad on business. And he had, more importantly, he had to give away his actual ticket, the final. He showed me his ticket that he had for the final. He had to give it away to his best friend that's currently heading over to Seville. And he was remarking to me that the feeling around Rangers fans that this has to be it. This has to be the year. This has been a year for Rangers, or even probably a couple of years, that has been filled with adversity. We could go all the way back from the team being relegated and move all the way forward to losing their manager recently, and of course some of their better players in Marcelo up front. But what we've seen from Rangers as a football club, it shows you a lot about fan support. And I think both teams can take credit as to why they're here in the finals. It has a lot to do with their fan support. Because some of the results that Rangers have been able to pull out at Ibrox, which I must remark is a very, very difficult place to go and play, is just short of speechless, because they're here based on that all-round performance. They lack a lot in talent as it relates to quality to the size that they've lost to, but they're there because they have that 12th man that we always talk about in sport. Rangers and Eintracht Frankfurt certainly have a lot to give credit to their 12th man.
You know, one of the things about this final that I'm particularly pleased about, Brent, these are two clubs very much rich in history. Rangers are celebrating their 150th anniversary this year, and Eintracht Frankfurt are celebrating their 123rd. Both clubs steeped in history. Rangers, of course, are 55 times champions of Scotland, with an Intertoto Cup to show for their European travels. But Eintracht Frankfurt, Brent, this is a German team that tactically is very good. They dismantled a Barcelona team, Brent, that at the time was the darling of Europe. We said that was Europe's form team before the two games against Eintracht Frankfurt, when they were made to look very, very ordinary. So this is not a team, and then they overcame a strong West Ham team. So this is not a team that has stumbled its way into an arena on a football pitch, and then they heard, oh, you are in the Europa League final. They got here playing some good football. And I'm suggesting to you, Brent, that in terms of quality of football, for me, the Germans enter as slight favourites.
Yeah, they'll be favourites. And I think it's important for the viewers to note that both teams on paper, if you were to ask me, George, at the beginning of Europa, we probably both, and everyone else, Lance and I, would not suggest that the final would be between these two teams. Not by even a stretch of the imagination. And I think the viewers need to understand that the collective of both teams have been very, very good. Tactically, as you rightfully mentioned, as it relates to Frankfurt, I think they've been one of the best I've seen in Europe in quite some time. They understand the opposition that they're playing against, and they find ways, of course, to get into the soft spots of that opposition. And as you rightfully just mentioned, I think Frankfurt may just sit at edge the favourites. And I think it's going to be a very, very emotional night in Sevilla because of the fan support, because of course, the type of game it is. And I just feel that it's going to come down to the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, because it's going to be that type of atmosphere.
Well, I can tell you the only nervous people tonight, Brent, are the city officials in Seville, who will be hoping that the Rangers fans don't trash the city as they did in Manchester. And I'm really hoping that the football fans behave themselves. I saw the Rangers legend, Brent, Graham Souness, making a direct appeal to the fans to behave themselves, to try to act in moderation. And I say moderation because of the drinking as well. When you see a man like Graham Souness making this direct appeal, you know what the Rangers fans are capable of. I hope that we're talking about the football tomorrow and not hooligan behavior. And I suspect, my friend, that we're going to be in for a goal feast, and I can't wait for that Europa League final to get on the way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a goal feast because both teams are very good in transition. And that's why I think is going to be the lead point for this game, because they're very clinical when it comes to, of course, Jamaican Kamaru should be back in the lineup, which should give...
I'm happy you mentioned him, Brent, because we were lining up an interview with him today. I was working that between yesterday and early this morning with our producer, Philip Riley. But at the last minute, the club informed us that, well, he was zoned in. There was a window where he would have been available. We were working some things out on our end to make it happen, but it fell through. By the time we got back, they said, well, he's zoned in now. He can't do the interview again, so we missed Kamaru. But we'll see him tomorrow. One hopes that I'll see you tomorrow as well.
Certainly. And it's a good final, as I said. I think both teams and both sets of supporters deserve it, George. As you rightfully said, both teams steeped in history. But there's only going to be one winner tomorrow, and it should be a hell of a final. Yeah, Europa League finals are usually exciting affairs. Watch it on SportsMax from 1:15 p.m. SportsMax 2 and the SportsMax app. The Europa League final will feature CONCACAF representation because both teams have Americans in their squads. And, of course, Rangers have the reggae boy, Kamaru. We'll break. Back with more on these.
Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and to click the notification bell to stay informed.